Hello and welcome back to the JW Thoughts channel. My name is Wally. Hello. Now, today we're going to be looking at a conversation I had with some fellow apostate ladies. And we did this on the live stream. In case you guys missed it, I thought I'd post it as well. So yeah, if you guys ever do want to come and hang out on the live stream, I'm trying to do it on Wednesdays, but I might try and do Fridays, or I might try and do it even on the weekend. So I'm not quite sure yet. It's a little bit evolving, so we'll see exactly how that goes. But I will try and post at least a day or two beforehand when I'm going to be going live. So that's, yeah, that's that. Anyway, with all of that being said, here's a live stream. It was a lot of fun, and I hope you enjoy it. The caveman strikes again, ready for action, and I've brought in an esteemed panel of guests with me today. The cream of the crop, some might say. So I don't really know how to bring in people one by one. I'm sure I could figure it out if I wasn't such a idiot. New layout, it's 5. Hi, these are my esteemed panel of guests. So we can just go and introduce yourselves top to bottom, how you see it on screen, I suppose.
Well, hi there. I'm Ryan. I'm called Tastic. How can you not be called Tastic when you leave a cult? So, so I guess I don't need to say what religion I left. I left Jehovah's Witnesses.
Nice.
Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Hey, Lady Cee in the house from XJW Critical Thinker. So glad to be here on the panel with you guys. Thank you so much, Wally, for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming. And our surprise guest, hi.
Me? Hi.
Yeah,
Hi, I'm Dax the student. I just got disassociated on Wednesday. I sent in my letter on Monday, so I am speed running this. And I do have a YouTube channel called Dax the Student, and if my video will render, you will eventually get to see it.
Those render times can be brutal, man.
Yeah. It's been 6 hours.
Oh,
no.
my lord.
It's okay.
That's
It's fine.
unholy.
I'm smiling through it. So
Good stuff. Good stuff. And for our last esteemed, polished apostate.
You're muted.
Oh.
Okay.
You're no longer muted, so the words that you say to the camera will work.
Okay, great. Hi, I'm Apostababe Linda James, your favorite apostate.
Thanks
for
you so
having me.
much, all of you guys, for being here. Is there anyone that is still Christian amongst the group, says someone?
No.
no,
No.
not at this time.
Well, there you go. That answers that.
I was.
Okay, well, let's just get these over with. We'll just speed run all of the questions. Yes, no. We'll make
Done
it
with
happen.
it.
Pardon?
Yeah. I like to argue about, not argue. I like to discuss. Sorry. I should not say argue. I like to discuss religion with people. I try to like ask them questions and get them thinking because I didn't have that. I didn't.
Yeah.
I think if people talk to me kind of how I'm trying to talk to people, maybe it would have made some things clear.
Yeah, and you're allowed to argue now.
True. Yeah. I'm allowed to speak up for myself.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It can be a positive thing.
You're right. You're right. It's not always a bad thing. Sometimes we gotta fight.
For sure, for sure. Well, I have brought all of you guys here today. I don't know why I'm so large and in charge. That's a little more on balance. It makes me feel less of the center of attention here. I guess I could
And
just,
then
like,
Wally,
easy. I got this. No
Even
problem.
a caveman could do it.
Even a caveman could do it. That's
Right?
right. I'm here to show the world that it is possible. Dreams do come true. Anyway, so I brought all of you guys together because I am a man. And as a regular old straight dude that grows up as a Jehovah's Witness, everything is pretty straightforward. And I just was vacuuming one day and I thought, you know, the whole experiment of this corporeal dimension that we just happen to inhabit is all about evolving and changing and like moving through these various cycles in your life. And I thought, as a Jehovah's Witness man, you know, you could always dream of being a governing body member, and that would be like a lifelong project. But as a woman, you've basically corrupted the very fundamental thing of what it means to be human, and that you stunt your growth. You just say, no, here you stop, and now you can only hitch your wagon onto some idiot. Or maybe
Right.
they're not an idiot, maybe they're a great guy, who knows? But anyway, you guys kind of
Could
get what
be an
I'm
idiot.
saying. So I just wanted to hear from you guys what it's like to live, under that sort of submission umbrella. It's your father, it's your husband, it's the congregation,
Possession.
it's everything.
Mhm.
So I don't really have a format, so whoever wants to fire.
I personally didn't have dreams. Like I had dreams, I had aspirations, but every time I would try to step into those dreams, I would just be shot down. So it was really sad. It was a very sad life. You're told that you're happy, so you pretend to be happy, but in reality, you have nothing to look forward to, no career other than really possibly being a housewife, maybe having children and a husband, maybe full-time pioneering, going to Bethel. I mean, those are your aspirations, and those aren't.
Dream higher. Dream higher.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, even like education, that was not something I discussed with my parents. I just knew I wasn't going to have one.
Yeah.
I just knew that was so. That's the sad thing for me, is knowing that there's children who just have no hope other than this afterlife, instead of existing here and living here.
You have no hope as a little tiny baby child, just purely based off of your gender. Like, well,
yeah,
I was born into this world, and here I am.
Yeah, congratulations. Get to work. Raise them kids.
Yeah. I feel like I definitely struggled with the headship arrangement a lot. I have family members who are particularly the type of people who misapply the headship to the point where sometimes the elders would correct them, because they'd say, hey, Danielle can't talk to me that way, she can't tell me what to do. And it's like, well, I'm your literal boss, so just because we're witnesses doesn't mean you can't listen to what I say. So there were a lot of awkward things like that. And then I'm lucky because I wasn't raised by a JW dad, just a JW mom.
That makes actually a significant difference, though.
It does. And so my dad was never like my spiritual head, and so there was never any. I struggled a lot in the Kingdom Hall because I would not. I used to, this is embarrassing, I'd pray for a spirit of mildness, because people would say I was too outspoken or too opinionated, too argumentative, and I would get frustrated because I felt like I couldn't talk at all. And the truth is, unless you really know how to talk to other sisters, which I didn't because I was a kid, you're not going to make friends, and you're just gonna upset people, especially a lot of really ornery brothers who misapply the headship arrangement. Not that I'm for the headship arrangement at all, but it can be worse than it already is. So,
every ridiculous rule can be made absolutely worse by someone just adding their own pig-headedness with it. So
and I mean, that's kind of why we're all here, is, for example, the two-witness rule, being able to be used to hide abusers in the hall. I mean, any rule can be abused, and Jehovah's Witnesses are really good at it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I lived in two different worlds, I think, because growing up, my father was not a witness. He was in the military, and it was so weird, because here you are, this young kid, you're thinking, oh, my dad's, I never thought my dad was going to die at Armageddon or nothing like that, but I just felt like I saw both sides. I saw both sides of two different worlds. I knew I couldn't go into the military because being a Jehovah's Witness, so that would not be a career option for me. But when I would go to the Kingdom Hall, all I would hear was them making comments from the platform saying, pioneer, pioneer. And I remember I was 17 this one year, and I was like, I don't want to pioneer. But that's all they were saying was, every talk that year was like, pioneer, pioneer. And I remember sitting at the convention saying, I don't want to pioneer, but it was like there was nothing else for me. And no one was giving me any direction. I did go to a business school after I got out of high school, but it was like the only option was to pioneer.
Yeah.
And it was it was just terrible. And of course, like when JT, my husband, his option was to pioneer, and then when he went to Bethel, but I wasn't given. I wasn't going to Bethel. I didn't even know about Bethel when I was coming along. I'm not gonna lie, because we didn't get involved with it like that. I mean,
you sound like you were raised similarly to me that way.
Yeah. So it was different,
Yeah, and I just like the whole pioneer thing. It's still not something that's exclusive to women. It's not like something that it's like they are the only ones that can do it. Like, what do you guys get to do that is like exclusive only? Like, what privileges are out there?
I mean, I don't think you're allowed to wear a hat when you give talks. We could.
Oh, true.
Because we have to. So, I think,
thinking.
that's definitely something you don't get to do. And the one bun said my microphone was really low. Is it better now?
Sounds
I think
Let
so.
me know in the comments if it is. Lady Cee, I had a very similar experience because my mom was inactive. I didn't know who the governing body were till probably 2011 because they were never in, they didn't really talk about them that much. So I would always kind of forget about them. I didn't realize they had names. I mean, of course they have names, but they were so in the background to me.
You don't realize how much control they have.
Yeah, and I didn't really learn until I was pioneering, and I was a terrible pioneer because I had never studied. I just kind of flew. I didn't start studying until this year, and that's why I'm out. So,
damn, that's awesome. You woke yourself up.
Yeah, Lavender Dream said the only exclusive privilege you get in the org is to bow down to the men and support them in every way.
Yep.
The exclusive you get to not have an opinion as well. That's true.
Yeah.
You're told that you have honor in being in your respect towards your head.
Yeah, that's how you get any kind of honor or respect, is how you treat the man in your life. And what's so and the thing that really like disgusts me is how they make the family unit like they have to be one complete unit. Everybody has to believe the same way, and if the man in the house can't run his family right, like if your child does something wrong, then that could look badly upon them, and then they could have their position removed. So there's this weird like honor system where like if everybody's not on board, everybody suffers in the family. Yeah. And usually it's the kids, of course.
Did it play a part in any of you guys waking up, like just the whole dynamic of that existing? Did that like shake you at all, or do you just go along with it because it's what you know?
It shook me. It shook me like like I'm on a roller coaster. It was the biggest struggle for me the entire time I was in the organization, and I was born in. And the entire time, I would just, the only reason I held out hope was I figured, you know what? Just because this is in Paul's letter doesn't mean this is what Jehovah wants, and maybe he will correct it in the new system.
Oh, Lord.
And that is what I told myself to comfort myself. I was like, there's no way that Jehovah made woman intelligent and, basically our brains are pretty much the same as men's except for some minor differences because of hormones.
Didn't they used to tell us that we were 10% less intelligent? I don't know if they still say.
Women's brains are 10% smaller.
That's exactly right. They sure did.
But
that was so crazy.
When was
so
that?
Crazy. I think that
by the 80s.
When who was it? Ryan was saying something about the unit, the family unit, and everything to be together.
Why we're not supposed.
One of the things that I found was about when JT would give a talk, the sisters would come to me after the meeting and say, he gave that talk. Oh my goodness, girl, he gave a good talk. And I know you're going to go home and fix him a good meal.
Oh.
A good meal because he gave a good talk. And then another time we were at a gathering, and so they were getting ready, everybody was getting ready to, leave and everything. And they were like divvying up food and, pastries and stuff. So then this one sister went up to JT and said, oh, brother JT,
oh no,
do you want something to go take with you, a piece of cake or something? And he said, yeah, sure, that'd be fine. So I thought, he thought that she was getting ready to wrap him up a piece of cake. And then she grabbed the saran wrap and brought it over to me and told me to wrap up his cake. And I said, you know what I told her? This is so crazy. I said, give it to him. He can do it.
Yeah.
You know, but I refuse
Right?
to I refuse to wrap up the cake. I refuse to do it. You
My
know?
my grandmother waited on my grandfather like hand and foot. Like dinner was always done at the right time. That was just how stuff went. And it's just weird to me that somebody would literally, like, I mean, honestly, if it was me, if I had it in my hand, I'd be like, here, I'll wrap you up something. Or I'd be like, oh, here, but I would never hand it to another woman.
Another person to do it.
Who the fuck does? Is it okay we curse? I'm sorry, Wally.
I'm sorry to chat if it bothers you, and if it does, then, well, I guess.
Okay.
Bye.
Just making sure. But who does that? Like, what woman does that? A Jehovah's Witness woman would do that. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
typical.
I was just curious, when was this actually, because this is something, I don't know if I've ever even heard about this
No,
myself. I don't know.
It's probably still on the
She
JW
just
site.
set something up and then told Miss Lady Cee when to do what.
Oh,
Huh?
Oh, you broke up
Uh-oh.
a bit.
I think
Is that
you're,
apostate babe breaking up?
yeah, you're kind of broken up at the moment. I think she's frozen. Anyway.
Yeah, there
no.
was a video of I don't remember his name.
I am
It's one of the
frozen.
governing body members
Go.
gave it. Oh, I heard no. One of the governing body
Brother
members.
Heard.
Yes.
Brother Heard.
Was it Brother Heard? Brother Heard. I gotta look up what he
Bro-
was like. But he
Brother Heard.
gave a talk
Yes.
talking about how
Yes,
women's
and-
brains are
and-
10% smaller and all this different bull. And it
That
was
is so just
insulting.
absolutely
Yeah.
bizarre.
They
Yeah,
must have misread it because I just Googled it and it said although the male
but
brain
he-
is
but
10%
he goes on.
larger than the female brain, it does not impact intelligence.
What the Watchtower never misquotes anything, so
Yeah.
they never pick and choose out of quotations what they want. You're wrong.
I want to do some. There's a few articles in the JW site that I want to research because it's about demons, but they claim that they get these articles from these certain places, and this is what it said. So I'm going to try to see if I can find these actual books and
Right.
articles where it says that a demon caused somebody to rob a bank. Like I need to see if there's a legal case where a man has claimed
Yeah,
demons made him rob a bank.
it's probably true because everyone is friends with that person who,
That was
Yeah.
so
everyone's friends with that person who saw the Smurf run out of the hall.
Oh
So-
yeah. Oh yeah.
that's
I mean, it's got to be true. Oh,
Oh, poor apostate Linda.
I hope
Her
she-
internet is
Oh,
okay. There she comes. Yep.
She's
there
trying
you
If I
come.
can go back to what it was like for me growing up in the org, it's like I have this,
Yeah.
like being born a girl child within this organization is about the worst defeat you can have. It's you learn that right away from birth that your purpose is to serve the men, and that's what you're here for. And you get told the Adam and Eve story and how, you know, Eve was created to be a helper and to,
That's all we are.
basically you're there to serve the man. We have a body to have their children. We have breasts to nurse their children. It's all for how can we support the man? And then
Yeah.
it goes into not only is it the man of the house, but any man in the congregation. We
Mhm.
have to have position, and that position is, and the subjection we have
Oh, you're cutting out again.
before the word where well, I don't know what
cutting
to
out
do about
again.
that. It's like before sword, having no rights whatsoever. Do about that.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
you
So
said.
anyways,
It's like you're just
it was very tough.
born. You're just born right into it without any say in the matter.
You never have
so-
a say.
I got a
Tony
good one
Morris
for you.
comments on women wearing abhorrent Spanx while working out. I remember because I used to, well, I still wear tight pants, but I was sitting
Tight
like I
pants,
think in
Tony.
the first or second row of our
Good for
assembly hall.
you. Good for you.
And he was just like right there. And it's a battle I had with elders and circuit overseers forever, ever. And I just refused to give into it at all. But I remember I was sitting right there and then he was going over to my friend's house to have dinner, and they invited me, and I was like, you know what, I don't think so. I'm good off all of that, guy. I'm over it. But
Hey, Wally, do you know what Spanx are?
do I know what Spanx are?
Yeah.
They are tight pants.
No, they are not. So, and that was wonderful for every sister sitting in the convention stadium listening to that talk, because Brother Morris said, or Tony Morris said, the whole talk about Spanx, right? And this was hilarious to us because Spanx are undergarments that make your silhouette look less bumpy, like makes it look smoother. So you wear it under skirts, dresses, whatever. Okay. And so my friends and I all collectively looked at each other, and we knew he meant yoga pants. And we said, well, he didn't say yoga pants, so c'est la vie.
It's a freebie.
And every sister I knew had that same attitude about it. They said, well, I can't wear Spanx anymore, darn, but I guess I can wear yoga pants.
How was it, just to getting back on track or on topic, even though I'm the worst at that ever, how was it for you guys, like, when, like, with dating or, like, with guys? Because I have this notion that because sex is so seen as, like, this dirty, sinful thing, you hypersexualize everything. So I think they have an article that I read one time where it was like, even if you're sitting in a car with a sister and your elbows are touching, that could be inappropriate. I'm like, what about if I'm in Costco and someone rubs up against me and my like, what is this nonsense? Anyway,
there's so many of those mundane rules that just don't. I was, you know, what's so weird is I was thinking about that. It was either today, wait, what day is it today? Friday? Okay, so it was yesterday. I was headed to the weed store, and I was thinking, like, what a time to be like, I'm an adult, one. I can go wherever the F I want. Nobody tells me any different now. And I'm going to get weed. And I was thinking, like, oh my God, just think back to when you were like 16 years old. I didn't go to the mall by myself. There was nothing that I could do. I didn't have any freedom. Like me, I took my kids and dropped them off at the mall. They wanted to go walk around with their friends when they were teenagers. Cool. Like, enjoy yourself. Like, you know what to do. You know how to behave. I've taught you well enough. I trust you. No big deal. But for me and my friends, that was like never. The only things that I did as a female was I was allowed to go to my friend's house sometimes, and sometimes they'd come to my house. I mean, that was really like the fun part of our lives, was maybe getting to see a friend.
Yeehaw.
Because otherwise there was nothing else for you to do, because you couldn't really have hobbies. We weren't going to parties, and J-dubs don't really, at least the ones I knew, didn't really have that many kind of parties, or I wasn't invited. I don't freaking know. But such a boring ass life.
Yeah, it was kind of boring, but I think for me, it was like we could hang out with the neighborhood kids. It's like living on a military base. It was like there was nobody. The only good thing about that was Jehovah's Witnesses could not get on the base. And I think that's the only reason why my mom probably did let us hang around with the neighborhood kids, because nobody could get on base and see us. But it was okay. But the only thing I do remember about that is, even though you could have friends, there were still limitations. Because if somebody had a birthday party, if they're going to have anything to do with any kind of a holiday, I couldn't do sleepovers and stuff like that.
No.
But I could go to the playground and play, at the playground and stuff like that. But I couldn't have a real relationship, because when it came for us to go on field trips and it was overnight, I couldn't go to an overnight field trip, Yeah. So it was still very limited.
Yeah, I didn't go
I
on
could
field
do some
trips and
things.
stuff.
Yeah. But only overnight field trips. We could do day trips, but we couldn't go to the one, because I think when I used to live in Arizona, they went to I think California, and I was not allowed to go because they were going to be overnight.
Yeah,
So,
I
couldn't do
remember
it.
trips like that. I couldn't do it. Yeah.
You can't do it, because who knows, you might
You can't be trusted.
I get in trouble.
Can't be trusted with that
You
either.
never have autonomy. There's no autonomy ever. You're
And
always
that was
doing
always-
something that somebody else tells you.
Right.
Which is kind of different, because like when I was a pioneer, I was able to say,
you're-
hey, I'm going to go and have a Bible study, and then I would just go to Starbucks and read a book and count my time. So I couldn't just show up to the meeting for service. You get put in car groups. I always think about that too. Like, as a guy, you get to make all the decisions, so you can kind of finesse who you get to work with and stuff. But
Yeah.
Apostababe, were you going to say something? I was going to say something about dating.
I don't
but
recall
I didn't want to
ever.
interrupt you.
Okay. I don't recall ever, as a growing up in the organization, starting a sentence off with, I'm going to go anything, like to just let them know and then actually walk out of the house and do it. I had to ask permission. I had to, and I was always treated as though I was with suspicion. You know, this like being so confining. It's like a carbon copy of my mother. I would swear I don't belong to this family. I don't belong in this organization. It was like, how the hell did I get here? You know, and I think this panel of women are very, we have ambition, and that was never allowed. It was squashed. Any kind of self-interest was always squashed. So
baby,
the sense of defeat was just always happening, you know? Yeah.
Well,
so I left like 40 years ago, like in 83.
Oh, wow.
And that was like, go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just gonna say that,
so it was, I got...
Jehovah's interrupting your connection.
I was going to expand upon something you were saying, but your connection's really bad, so it might be a bit behind. I was going to expand on the fact that you could never have hobbies or interests or anything, and that's partially too, like with sisters, there's that huge pressure to pioneer, like you were talking about, and how anytime you try to do anything, well, could you be pioneering? Could you be pioneering? Could you be pioneering? And that's all I was going to add.
Yeah, sing it and get a new record to play, would you?
Yeah.
Anyway, Ryan, what were you going to say about dating?
Oh, I was just going to say, I think that's, no, it's okay. I think
maybe you can carry this for a second, because I got to go pee again.
You go pee, that's fine.
I'll leave it to you guys. I'm fairly certain you guys will manage without me.
We'll be okay. But Kristen had mentioned something about dating, and I think that was something we were going to talk about anyway, but I don't know about for y'all, but for us, there was like a true, like, almost cat fight, at least I felt, because you only had a certain amount of brothers. And like, okay, so for instance, there was like maybe like a handful of dudes that were worthy of like having as a boyfriend, and they really had the pick of the litter. They were the ones who had the choice of the beautiful young girls. And like a new girl had moved into my hall, and now she's one of my best friends, but she took the man that I was going to marry. So not really, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I thought, like,
JW
okay, this
thought,
is,
yeah,
JW thought, like, okay, you got to pick the dude you're going to be with for the rest of your life. That's the only way you're ever going to have any fun and date. Like, and I need to get the fuck out of here. So, you know, my friend came in and swooped in and took my dude, and it all went downhill. Oh my God. It all went downhill from there. I met a worldly boy, and that just screwed everything. That screwed the pooch. I don't know what it was like in your congregations when it comes to like the girls and the guys and the dating.
We didn't have anybody. I mean, see, I was in when we finally moved back to Michigan, where my mom is from, we ended up in when I was able to old enough to really date anybody. There was nobody in that congregation because it was like in a country town. And so all the brothers were either older than me, or had already or the people were already married. The guys were already married because they were older than me, or they were younger than me. So there was really no one. There was no pick of the litter nowhere. But I do remember going to the circuit assembly, and it was so funny because the next
I'd hunt the dudes there.
The next week, this brother that showed up at our congregation, and he spotted me at the circuit assembly. And I think we may have dated for like maybe a year, but he kind of flaked out. I don't even know what happened to him, but you know, and
he missed out. His loss.
So that was a long time ago.
Yeah, my Kingdom Hall had like, we had so many young couples. Oh. We had so many young couples in our hall that
funny man.
One of the elders who hated young couples ended up giving. He just absolutely hated young couples, and he had the special needs talk, and he said, "You are not past the bloom of youth until you are at least 21." and he would not go to anyone's weddings if they were under the age of 21.
Really?
And every single couple, I mean, there's probably 3 engaged couples and like 2 dating couples, all of them under 21 in our hall, about 20, and not 20 couples. They were all about 20 years old.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was such a pointed local needs. I think he got in trouble for it, but they did. He didn't break anybody up, but one of those couples is still together.
Hey, there you go.
So, yeah. So he didn't break anybody up at the time. They all got married, and then one survived. So.
What's going on?
Marrying young is kind of the thing in the congregation. Everybody was like engaged young. It's just the thing to do.
Thanks,
That's
Jordan.
you know what? Like, we don't have parties as Jehovah's Witnesses. We don't celebrate anything. We don't do anything. Weddings were the freaking shit because I love to dance, and that was
It was like the only time you could flirt. It was the only time you could flirt.
And you could wear something like a little bit different, possibly.
Exactly.
Like you'd be allowed to maybe go get a special dress for like the wedding and the memorial. So that was like the only times you got like a new dress or a special. At least for me, anyway. I don't know about y'all, but Goodwill was generally where we shop,
Does
and
it
I love
feel,
Goodwill.
though,
It's
like,
fine.
being like, because of that, you do feel more like sexualized, or maybe you talked about that when I was going to the bathroom.
No, but it does. I mean, we sexualize kids. Oh, is that your little boyfriend? Like, a 2-year-old. No, that's disgusting. Don't say that. He's not flirting with me. No, he's just being a child. Like, and I'm not trying to be mean, because I know people say these things and don't realize it. But yeah, definitely within the congregation, the moment that you turn a certain age, everything that you do is like looked at with a microscope. Is your shoulder showing? Is your skirt too short? Is your hair too short? Too many earrings?
Blue Horizons.
Too much jewelry. My mom used to get like looked at because she wore too many rings. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Blue Horizons. I don't think that could be considered courting.
Yeah, that's
sad.
called rape.
Yeah, well, assuming they're doing something together,
Has
but
implications of it at least.
Yikes. Yeah, no, I got married at 19, which was incredibly young, and I actually didn't want to get married. But no, I just didn't want to get married in general because I didn't ever want to be submissive. And so I got married, and then I just wasn't submissive, and I got lucky that my husband wasn't, I mean, he didn't really like the headship arrangement either. So I got really, really lucky. But I've seen so many of my peers who got married around the same time I did, around the same age, that didn't get so lucky, and they're still in, and they're still sad. So.
Yeah, because you're so young, you're coming along in the organization at a time when people don't do the things that we did. Like my mom's friends and my mom, they were like women that did take care of their husbands, and they fixed plates. So when I got married, I told JT I won't be fixing plates, because that just wasn't something that I was going to be doing, because I worked the job.
I don't either.
And so my mom, she didn't work a job, so she couldn't fix a couple of plates, but because both of us were working, I just decided that I wasn't going to be one of those people. So you have to really kind of set the tone. But then JT and I were friends.
You got to set the tone.
You got to set the tone. I mean, you got to kind of set the tone for what you're going to do, because if you don't, then you're going to be expected to do stuff. But so so this is what we decided to do. Whoever cooked dinner, the other person would do the dishes. That was our trade-off.
That's a good trade-off.
We kind of like locked heads. How are we going to coexist together? And so we decided that we were not going to be those traditional marriages that our parents were. And so we were able to make that work.
Did you get a lot
Why
of pushback?
shouldn't you do that?
Yeah. Did you get a lot of? Well, I did the same thing, and I've been married about almost 9 years now. Did you get a lot of pushback from other brothers or sisters in the hall who would spend time with you?
Who, me?
Yeah, because
why? Because her role wasn't the same.
Because for example, like a person, we're just gonna say a person, would get really upset that I wasn't more like servicey, for lack of a better term, like taking care of my husband when I'm hosting. Like if I'm hosting a bunch of guests, they'd get like annoyed if I'm asking him to help me host. Or it'd be like,
Really?
oh, well, you have it. Go let him just sit on the couch. Let him relax. He works hard, as if I wasn't also working.
Right.
Did you have some of those comments, Lady Cee?
Yeah, they did. They would do stuff like that. Like remember I told you they gave me the saran wrap to wrap up this. But the thing is, I would kind of like, I think because JT was always one of those helpful brothers, he was doing more than I was. Let me get this, let me get that, let me fix this. Especially if we were entertaining, he was right there. And so he wasn't one of those people that like sat back and put his feet on the table and then waited for me to do something. But that just didn't happen.
I saw that just reminds me of like the gatherings we would go to where like the dudes would all be like sitting around chilling, eating, and the ladies would be in the kitchen. They'd be getting everything ready and they'd be getting the drinks and da-da-da-da. And like dudes would just, and like even at the end, like we'd be cleaning up, but the dudes just be chilling. And there's some dudes who will help and things like that. But generally speaking, nobody would lift a finger. They would just enjoy the fruits of our labor. And
you hit on probably one of the most irritating things that I would go, anytime I went to a gathering, I would always be in the kitchen, like with the women, because I
there
found
are
it
some
obnoxious.
who will help.
It's like, and the guys are just like, no, we're too cool for that. We're gonna drink beer and play ping pong. I'm like,
you got this. You're better at it
Is
than
your
me.
idea like, well, they get to go in there and talk, so therefore they're having fun? No,
Yeah.
get off your
But you
butt.
guys were good. You guys were lucky to be getting to a get together because our congregation was so stuffy. Like if we were doing, I'm talking about being married and in the congregation I was at during the time I was married, because it was like we had like a lot of the elders were older. I don't think our elder body was like friends. Like they didn't really hang out together. I think that's how we were able to wake up, is because we really didn't fit in our congregation. And so and then of course because we worked full time, and then JT and all of his elder responsibilities and stuff like that, we didn't do a lot of socializing. We didn't start socializing until we left. I mean, we did things and we went places, but we weren't at that many get-togethers.
Oh, whoops! Everything moves.
Ooh,
You've
picking
actually
up chicks
exposed
in the
me.
kitchen.
You've actually
Did the
exposed
brothers
me
ever
here.
kind of talk you down?
Yeah, what was their reaction? She said, did the brothers ever try to talk you down?
Oh,
Like
yeah,
when you
all
would
the
help
time.
and stuff.
They would always make jokes.
When you found yourself,
before,
okay, that's what I would figure.
Yeah, a lot of slurs and stuff got slinged my way because I like to dress nice and wear scarves and stuff like that. But whatever. It doesn't really matter to me. I left them anyway.
That's too bad.
Yeah. It's just judgment. Everything like, ugh. We don't
what's
judge.
the
like a
worst
sharp-looking
thing
cat.
that you had?
Don't-
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. We're just gonna work through the delay.
I was saying you're a sharp-looking cat, and I enjoy looking at what you wear. So
Yeah.
I guess they're going to have a trouble with it,
Very
aren't they?
sharp.
So don't stop being you.
Yeah.
Oh, never.
It was probably a bit of jealousy. I wouldn't be surprised. A little bit of jealousy of how you always
I
that
don't
collar.
know what it was. I just thought it was small-mindedness.
And
What's like
think about
about
it. If
have
you
any like funny
any individual
dating? Oh, sorry.
Reality.
Pardon?
What'd you say?
We're all like,
We lean forward. The natural reaction. Like,
that's what you do. It helps you.
I know. It's like when you're talking on the phone. I can't.
Saying if you show it.
You're back. What were you
You're
saying?
back.
Saying that you show individuality, I believe.
That's
Oh, gotcha. Well, that is one thing that I've never been accused of, is being boring.
right.
I have a funny story.
Yes, I do want to hear funny dating stories.
Oh.
Just the most awkward.
Oh my
Right.
God, this is the best. This is
Too
the best.
excited. Okay, you
Okay.
get to go second.
I've never told this story. Now I have to wait. Damn it. Okay, so I think I was about 15, And I had met this boy at one of the assemblies, and I called him Chad. It wasn't his name, but that's the name I gave him. I was like, "Oh, you look more like a Chad."
Yeah.
I'm like, that's just, I do weird shit like that. So he was fine with it. He let me call him Chad. He was like a super sweet, very shy, very nice
You
guy.
rename people. That's hilarious.
So I was so lucky that my parents allowed me and a group of friends with chaperones. It was adults. It was like their parents, chaperones, to go to an amusement park. So we went to the water park.
Ooh, that's a major
So
score.
I got to sit next to the guy that I like, right? So guess what? We go on this ride, this waterlog ride.
Mm-hmm.
Get off the ride. I'm a little wet, no big deal.
Uh-oh.
My friend's mother comes running up to me holding a sweater.
Oh my God.
Wraps it around my waist. Ryan, you're bleeding. You've got your period.
Oh, damn. That is brutal. Finally with Chad.
Finally with Chad and red tide at the water park.
God damn it.
I was more, because you don't know how to handle these kind of things.
And
like you don't really talk about your
I thought
period.
it was going to be a wet.
Well, it was, but just a different kind of wet.
Oh,
and
no.
to me, I just thought it was hilarious because he was acting a little bit funny after the ride. Like he was like walking away from me, and like, dude, you could have just told me. Obviously he saw that my pants were. You didn't say nothing. You're just walking away from me. Like, oh my God, just
He's
funny.
probably in his little JW brain, like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I'm gonna have your blood.
She's a woman and she has a vagina and it's bleeding.
Oh,
Real quick,
He didn't have any sisters.
the comment that you highlighted that
No.
said best part of the conventions was walking around trying to talk to girls. I'm sorry, you're wrong. You did not walk. You probably stood and leaned up against the wall. I've never seen a brother walk around in the convention. They are
was the
always
girls
standing,
walking.
waiting.
That's so. I have never heard that observation before in my whole goddamn
the
life.
lean,
Really?
the convention
Post
lean.
up.
I've
doorway.
never heard. I'm a
At the
convention lean virgin.
Wow. So, and I have a hopefully quick story about
Yeah,
a
let's do
dating experience. I married my first boyfriend technically, but the first person I had a crush on, we would just spend as much time together as possible, probably for like 2 or 3 years when we were teenagers. And he's actually out too, so congrats to him. We were at a theme park, and I have really bad allergies. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but they're there and they're bad. And we were walking to the last roller coaster for last call, and I sneezed so bad that the snot went from my nose and connected to the ground.
Oh my God.
And stayed like that.
Did you, like, play it like a pillow or something?
I didn't have anything on me. I was wearing a tank top and shorts. It was summertime. It was 100 degrees outside. And I go like this, and I said,
What?
go without me. And he did. And then I moved away. I moved across the country, for real. Not because of that, but it was good timing. That was the last time I saw him. There was nothing I could do. I just, after he walked away, I started just slowly walking away from it to see if it would break.
that cheese pool. You were making some good lasagna that day.
It was so bad.
Holy.
And
What's the movie where the dogs eat the spaghetti?
Just
meat in the
yeah,
middle.
the opposite of that. So I bring tissues with me everywhere I go now.
Oh.
Because I'm always scared of that. Because that was horrifying. It was embarrassing.
And I
I
just think
did not
that you're not.
create that.
Did your congregations organize skating parties or bowling?
Yes.
Going bowling?
We used to go
Every once in a
skating,
while.
roller skating every Sunday.
Okay.
Yep.
We used to do fun things like way back in the day. When I had first become a J, like when my parents first started studying, I was basically raised a JW, but anyway, that first congregation did a lot of picnics. And once we moved out of there, the next one didn't do so many, but they would have a couple picnics where we'd play like baseball, and congregations, like all the congregations would meet together and we'd like have a baseball game. And that was fun. But some people drank too much one time. And because of that, they canceled all of them. So instead of saying like you can't drink as much, or hey, maybe no alcohol, They just said you can't do them anymore.
Wow. Okay.
That seems reasonable, you know? It's like,
Yeah.
well, I have a little tiny hole in my shirt. I guess it's time to just throw it in the garbage because
Yeah.
I can't use it for anything else.
Yeah, can't fix
We
it
had
at
a little
all.
loophole. I think my family had a loophole because my mom, she's from a small town and she had a lot of siblings. And so we got a chance to, like, a lot of my mom's family were witnesses. So we got a chance to have cookouts all the time. We would go to my grandparents' house. And so we got a chance to hang out with some of our cousins that were not witnesses. And it was like it was a really nice area that we were in. And it was like the country. We were in the country, but it wasn't really country. But so it kind of made it a little nice. So when I think about my life, I had so many patches of, I lived here, I lived there, I lived here, because moving around a lot. But when I was old enough to date, my issue was I looked so young. So if I'm at a convention and I'm trying to be looking all cute and everything and thinking some brother's gonna be interested in me, that was not happening, because I probably look like a 13-year-old as a 16-year-old.
I'm
I'm
just
surprised that
wasn't
it makes some of them want you even. I mean, I'm not trying to be gross, but I am being gross. But
Me and my friends, our rule is unless she's 20, she's 12.
yeah,
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I also looked. I looked very young for a very long time until probably this year. I finally started looking closer to my age. So
yeah, you do. I mean, it's not a bad. It's not. I mean, maybe sometimes it's a pain in the ass, but someday you'll be thankful for sure.
Honestly,
if not now.
Until now, if people anywhere hit on me, I was like, "You're a pedophile. You're a pedophile. I know you're a pedophile."
Right.
Because I know I look young.
Yeah.
But you know what? Did you guys have like my mother, my aunt? She goes, yeah, your
Thank you,
mother
Sean.
used to make all of your clothes. So like, can you imagine? Like, you already look young. You're trying to go to the convention and all that, and try to look cute, but you're wearing homemade clothes. That was my situation.
You were
Homemade
dripped out.
stuff. You know, and I used to hate that. So everybody else is wearing, you know, regular clothes. I mean, my mom did a good job sewing, but it was still like it was homemade. So you didn't feel like everybody else.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's kind of a cool thing to like feel good, smell good, look good, you know, like even if I know I'm not going to leave the house during the whole day, I'll still put on cologne or something just to make myself feel a little better about myself. But you don't shower and you don't do anything for 4 days. You're just like, God. Sean, that is really, really hilarious that you got grounded for 3 months. 3 months? What's wrong with your parents, my man?
I mean, here's the thing.
Did they tell the elders on you? Did you get told on?
If you're
like
a witness,
like
you're
our parents
basically
did?
grounded anyways, so I
Yeah.
don't look a day over 40. I
perpetual
hope
grounding.
not. I'm 27.
Text obviously hilarious.
If chat, you have any questions or anything you want to ask, I don't have any plan or format, so we're just gonna wing it. We'll see how it goes.
I did see a comment I wanted to highlight.
Oh yeah, what's
earlier? It's way back, so we probably won't find it. But it was
about?
talking about back when we were talking
here
about
it is.
marriage.
That's the
No,
one
it was a serious topic.
Okay, sorry.
There was a
My
comment
bad.
talking about how somebody's brother thinks that basically wives have to have sex with their husbands whether they want it or not. And I'm going to highlight this and say that is coercive, which is rape.
Disgusting.
And so if
is,
anyone who is watching this is currently a witness or not a witness or just married in a relationship, doesn't matter. If that is the tone of your sex life, that's a problem. And you shouldn't feel guilty if you don't want to have sex. I know that's a serious topic to bring up.
Well, no,
but I
this
did see
is
it in the
actually one
comments,
of the.
so I
This
really
is
want to
one
make
of the
sure.
things I wanted to talk about.
Because if you're raised as a
actually.
witness, you also will feel like any issues in your sex life is the wife's fault. And so really just, if you're recently out and you haven't done anything in regards to therapy or you haven't figured out your marriage issues yet, really look into whether or not how you feel about that. Because
purity
I
culture.
hear about that. I remember years ago they would give I think it's in the Watchtower, or they gave talks. And one of the things I remember hearing from the platform was, you got to give your husband his due, whatever. And that would, like, just like what you're saying, Dax, that's very true. And they would kind of like try to beat the women over the head with that scripture, and trying to get them to, like, do these things for the husband and stuff like that. Like, they had no choice. And you would even hear them talking about stuff about, what if she has a headache? I mean, you would hear different things, and you would hear these brothers trying to come up with all these excuses as to why she didn't have an excuse not to. And I remember, and this is before I even got married, and I was like thinking about, I would be sitting in my chair thinking, wow, that's pretty deep,
I remember we got into a discussion when I was out in service with 4 sisters one time, and they were talking about that scripture, and I'm just sitting there trying to be polite, but they were all kind of like talking about it. I'm like, I don't know why I'm involved in all of this, but they were all of the opinion, like, this is like horrible. Like, just having this policy or this idea in your head is so damaging and dangerous, because you're basically hijacking someone's sexuality. You're not allowing them to express it in the way that they deem appropriate. You're saying, no, it's on my terms. And I mean, the old excuse of, well, it goes both ways.
Yeah, well, and they started changing the talks in recent years to say, oh, married couples owe each other their due. And they would talk about how, husbands, you should be considering, be considerate of your wife's condition. But, like, they didn't really draw a line saying, if your wife doesn't want to have sex, you don't get to have sex. They never, ever talk about what real consent is. They talk about not asking for sex if you think your wife might have the flu, basically. Oh, well, she has a flu, so I guess we're not going to do it. That there doesn't have to be a reason. The reason can be your wife doesn't want to have sex with you,
right?
And that's okay. And I saw, I don't know how to pronounce it, so I'm just going to say it as I think it's spelled, Cygnusps.
Yeah.
No one. It's a running joke, so don't ever try and pronounce his name. It's a running gag. So we all just collectively agree no one will know how to say his name.
So that. I think it's really awesome that you're willing to admit on here that you were a terrible husband, because it is a hard thing to admit, and it makes people feel better to hear it.
For sure.
Yeah, it does.
Way of saying that.
It really does. Because that's literally what I went through. So it's
the worst thing that happens to the women when you have a woman, and when you have these Jehovah's Witness marriages. First of all, people are getting married because they want to have sex, because they don't, want to get in trouble. So they end up choosing the wrong person to marry. Then all of a sudden, after all of the sex wears off, or all the excitement, and they realize what they see is not what they really thought they wanted, now you're probably stuck with somebody you don't want to be married to. So now this is probably what the issue is, because you got to understand that the reason why this is coming up anyway, and they're giving talks about it, is because people must be writing Bethel. And they must be talking about it and complaining about it to the point that it's making its way to the Watchtower and Awake magazines. And now they're trying to make people feel guilty for not wanting to do these things. But here's the situation. If they would stop, promoting or trying to make it seem like people can't have normal relationships without getting married, then they can stop people from marrying people they don't want to marry from the, in the first place. That's what I'm seeing. I just feel like I was really fortunate, because, like, I always tell people I was a mere older bride, because when I met my husband,
congratulations.
He was living in he was at Bethel, and I met him through a sister and her husband in my congregation. And right before the convention that year, maybe 6 months or so before, she told me that these brothers were coming from Bethel. And this is when I had just found out about Bethel with my roommates, and they were talking about all these brothers, and how good looking these brothers were at Bethel, and all these available men. And I was like, well, I didn't know nothing about no men at Bethel and stuff like that, But when I met my husband, it was almost like, it was like we were looking for each other all our lives, Aww. But we dated for 3 years. We knew each other for 3 years before we actually got married. So we got to know each other.
3 years?
3.
Wow.
Because remember,
Louise. Hold on,
the org lets you
thank you so much. That is
Wow.
actually crazy.
Wow.
You're a wild person, but thank you so much for the generosity. I
Wait, Zoom
appreciate it.
meeting.
Yeah.
Sign language class.
Little dance for you. There you go.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But yeah,
so why would you
so-
would you date someone for 3 years as a Jehovah's Witness? Because Jehovah's Witness dating sucks.
Yeah, that's pretty shocking. That's a shock.
But see, we didn't
You
really
can't
date
do
like.
anything.
See, what we didn't live near each other.
Oh, okay.
So, he was in New York. I met him when I was living in Michigan. Then I moved to Ohio. Then I moved to Maryland to serve with the Needed Great with my pioneer partners. So I kept getting closer and closer to New York. So we visited each other long distance, but like we could talk on the phone, and we used to make tapes and send to each other. So we got a chance to know each other. I remember he even told me he was going to a wedding in Connecticut, and you know how Jehovah's Witnesses are, because I was not invited to that wedding. So of course, and I was living in Maryland at the time, and he was at Bethel. So he goes, I tell you what, he said, why don't you take a trip and go visit my parents? So I actually drove to North Carolina by myself.
No shot.
Drove to North Carolina by myself to go visit his parents. And that was the first time that I had ever been to. I think that was the first time I was meeting them.
That is goofy.
And I actually went to go meet his parents by myself.
That
Wow.
sounds awful.
That's so weird. Oh my gosh, I would have died if I had to meet my in-laws by myself.
But
Right?
They're terrible.
But for some
I can
reason,
say
I
that
think
now.
But me and his mother must have
How
met
old-
at.
How old were you?
How old was I when I got married? Y'all just trying to find out how old I am. 18. How old was I? When I was dating, or when I got married?
No, like the drive to. No, sorry.
I can't
Yes,
remember.
or be reprimanded. No.
I was about
How old
probably
were you when
20.
you took the drive
Probably
to
about
me?
20.
Okay.
But you know what? I'm
Okay.
gonna tell you what. I tell you what.
Okay.
I think I had already met his mother that summer, because when I was living in Maryland, when I was living in Maryland, we had gotten engaged in December, and I remember it was so crazy because I was at Bethel, and we were at one of the elders' houses or apartments actually, in his congregation, and so JT sets the it was on. I was there around Christmas, and so he took this ring box, a black ring box, and set it on the table, and then he walked out the room, and he was hoping that I would open it up. And this is on December 25th. Okay, so what happened was he thought that but he did not propose on Christmas Day. So he proposed.
He actually sandbagged.
Yeah, he proposed on December 26th because he didn't want to propose marriage on Christmas. That was so crazy.
That's so funny. It's
Right.
like, hey, we're gonna wait to have our baby. We don't want it to be born on Christmas.
Right.
We're gonna get a C-section
boy,
and have it
can you
early.
imagine?
Because,
We couldn't be in tune and in step with the holiday, right?
oh
So yeah,
my-
so I got my ring, and I came. It was so crazy, and my roommates. It was really hard, being in living with 3 other single sisters, and these sisters, they were the ones that were telling me about Bethelites when I first met them some years ago, and so it was really interesting because out of all the people that ended up getting engaged to a Bethelite, I got engaged to a Bethelite. And it was really hard living with them.
They were upset. They were jealous.
Yeah, and so they were jealous. And so the one sister, let me tell you what the one sister's
Can't
mother
be
did.
happy.
She said, this is what she did. So her mother was visiting our place. This is before I got married. And so when she found out, I had my ring and so forth, her mother said, oh, I wouldn't even be worrying about getting married because the Bible says that people are if you want to get married, it means you're inflamed with passion.
Oh my God.
oh,
And
that's-
she said that in front
that's
of
a
all
bad
these
one.
people, and I'm thinking to myself, she was trying to make me feel so low. But it's like, why would you try to make me feel so low? Because
Right?
I'm the only one in the group that's getting married right now. But now you don't told everybody, oh, she's inflamed with passion. That's
How
why she's
dare
getting
you?
married.
Yeah, that sounds such a
Wow.
scary thing.
Oh my God!
dare
it
you
was
be
so
human.
embarrassing. Oh God!
Hey, Matt. just
Santa. I love Hail Santa.
Matt's a super good guy. Everyone say hi, Matt.
Hi, Matt.
Hi,
He
super
always
good guy,
checks in
Matt.
on me to make sure I'm not dead. He's a good guy.
You know what? You know
Thank
what
you so much for
saying?
your generosity.
You know what saying that I hated that always was said, that women would always say like it was some kind of cute little sassy thing, because the men are the head, but women are the neck that like control the head or whatever.
I heard about that.
I hated when people would say that, because I just kind of felt like, why can't we just like work together? Like, you know, I use my hands in tandem. Like I could own a business with another person and I could be like at the same level with them. Why can't I have a relationship with my husband where like we both just have discussion?
Because you chose to be together?
Yeah. Can we coexist and make decisions together because we're a family? Like, why do you have, and they'd say, no, a family you have to have a head in the family. The fuck, why? Why do I have to have a head? No, I don't. You can be equals. That's okay.
It's such a novel concept, I think, because even like just from my perspective of being on the penis brigade, it was just like absolutely expected that when you get married, it's just going to be like, well, they'll just do everything for you now, and like your friends and stuff joke about it, and that was just never my style or anything. And I'm like, no, that's not how I'm going. But it's just amazing, like on the other side of the door.
I got one for you. I got a good one for you, Wally. So I got a phone. I don't really want to say. I don't think she's probably listening to this. But anyway, so
there's not very many people that are going to hear this. Don't worry.
I was talking to this lady the other day, and she was telling me an experience, and I'm sure nobody would know who this is. It's probably not the only people that said this, but there was this husband and wife, and the husband, this brother, he was contemplating that he wanted his wife to call him Lord, like they did in the Bible.
What?
Well, Abraham did it.
I know of somebody I know of someone who
yes, my lord.
I'm sorry. I know of someone as well who the wife was like, oh, well, I call my husband Lord. And I was like, and that makes you better somehow? I mean, you know, I don't kink shame. If that's your kink, you do you. But don't tell me that I got to do that. No thanks. Yuck. I mean, not yuck. We don't kink shame.
Right. Yeah. I'm not going to yuck your yum. But
I like that expression.
Not for me, thank you.
I think a lot of brothers they like this arrangement.
Oh my God!
Just talking to so many people, I feel like the brother, like if you have a man that becomes a Jehovah's Witness, and he really doesn't want to be a witness, but he likes these the culture of the way women are treated in the organization.
Yeah.
And I find that a lot of these men they just get off on this.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's a point I wanted to make. I think that these dudes
of course,
perverts, control freaks, narcissists, abusive people, they flock to these power positions. I mean, they love this shit. They look for this shit. I mean, I'm sorry, that's why there's so many pedophiles in like the churches.
Yeah.
They know where they can hide. They know where they can get forgiven, their freedom.
And Kat said narcissistic men. I would also say they're supported by a narcissistic organization. The entire way that your relationship with religion as a Jehovah's Witness is set up is narcissistic in nature. It's all conditional. There's no, I mean, everything's conditional and everything is about basically the governing body. I would say Jehovah, but it's not even that.
No, it's
I'm not going to get into
the men.
God thing, but if you focus on the governing body for a second, it's do as I say or face the consequences. And I'm going to throw a hissy fit, and you know, don't worry, I'm benevolent. I'll take you back. You just need to do as I say. Like, that's very narcissistic.
Yeah, they set the rules. And that's why the bite model. That's why they are a cult. You look at the bite model. They set the standards. They set the scenario, and then you're just living inside their little globe, and they just shake it up anytime they want, and you know they control everything. They scare you. And
Spanx.
But it's not really surprising if you think about it, because if you look at what their religion is based off of, right? It's some dudes sitting around a fire thinking, hey, how can we maintain our control? And as
Right.
soon as you get power, you're immediately afraid
Right.
of losing it, and you want to make sure you can just hold it. And so
Men
the
with
biggest
no
way to do it is
training.
like, hey, let's cut off 50% of the whole population. That's a
Right.
great way to maintain
50%.
power.
Right.
If you-
There's the
More
Jehovah's Witnesses
women.
are 65% woman.
Really?
I know. It's so,
Yep.
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
And most religions, I think, are a lot more females
But
inside
for
them,
Jehovah's
unfortunately.
Witnesses
It is
specifically,
higher, yeah.
65%.
They're
I'm gonna go
responsible for
refill my
some
water,
and
but
have such
you-
little power.
I'm refilling my water.
Yep.
I'll be right back.
Go right ahead.
I believe
Don't
in
you
you
think
guys.
it's interesting how they always brag about women are like a large army?
So,
They're like a large army,
Yeah.
and they're going to
I'm
be
gonna-
preaching
I'm-
the good news of the kingdom, and then at the end of the day, we have no rights.
Yep.
You know, they want to use you, and they
Mm-hmm.
want you to be this person that's leading the charge out in field
We're-
service.
It's out the door,
But then it's like,
but
oh,
not in
yeah.
you
the
have no
kingdom
rights.
hall.
Right.
Yeah, and a lot of the pioneers that I knew were women. I mean, it was the women were the majority of it that I had seen, and but that's
Well,
that's
and
all you
kind
get.
that's kind of the terrible part is they,
Um,
I mean, it's kind of wicked. They put women in this position of having no power and then use them as a tool to bring more people into the organization,
Mm-hmm.
which is predominantly going to be women. Because as a woman, you're not supposed to study with men. Generally, you should
Right.
pass it over to a brother. But how many brothers are pioneering, or how many brothers have enough time to follow up on that study? So you just get more
Right.
women. And
Yeah.
it keeps perpetuating of pulling these women into an oppressive system, and it's sad.
And then you baptize them young. You say you don't baptize them young.
13.
Yeah,
Definitely able to make a
I was
decision
15.
having never gone to school. I wasn't homeschooled either.
Oh shit! What?
Yeah, my parents were also abusive. So
I'm so sorry.
it's fine.
I'm so
So
sorry.
Wait a minute.
I'm here now. Look, I live in a
So,
house.
wait a minute. You didn't go to school,
No,
nor were you schooled? So,
I didn't go to school until
during your childhood?
I went to school in 11th grade.
Wow.
And then because
Wow.
I threatened to call CPS. But the point of the story
Okay.
is I had I wasn't allowed outside. I'd never been to school, and I thought, well,
For
there's
you. Good
one
for you.
witness girl in the congregation, and if I get baptized, maybe she'll be allowed to hang out with me, or I'll be allowed to hang out with her. So I got baptized. That did not happen because everyone in the hall knew that my mom was abusive, and so they didn't want to have their kids spend time with us because it might rub off on them. I don't know. And
I'm sorry.
So, it's fine. So the point is, though, at that age with those circumstances, and most other witness kids also having that kind of sheltered circumstances, it's really, really frustrating when they say, oh, well, they were old enough to make the decision themselves. I didn't know the answers to any of the questions. I had never studied. The elders who liked me and felt bad for me gave me the answers when I was going over my questions. They just said, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. And I was baptized. So, no, like you said,
I
how they
failed
say
the
that
first
we're-
time.
I did too. I had to go back.
Really?
And then I failed the second time.
But wait a minute. So you guys,
Oh no.
the baptismal questions you're talking about?
Yeah,
I never
yeah.
passed them.
I didn't really fail my questions, but I thought I had to.
Failing.
I thought I had to like memorize them. And I remember the brother in our congregation who did my questions, and I had memorized the first 20. And then after
Oh,
that,
damn.
what he did was he just told me all I had to do was he read the question, we discussed it, and then he said, "Do you agree?" So that was all we did for the rest of the questions.
Oh, wow.
Jeez.
Yep.
Ugh.
He goes,
And
"Oh, I
you
know you believe this. I know you believe this. I know that's
Yeah.
right. I know you. I
Like,
know.
oh,
I know.
you know.
I know you're good with this." Yeah.
It's gross.
It just makes me mad that the children are being baptized without having a clue. I honestly, like, even though I was 15, I didn't get it. I thought I was told that if I got baptized, I'd
Yes.
get my license. So I just wanted to get a job. I wanted to have my license and have a little freedom, or so I thought. That didn't really turn out necessarily to be the case, but they teach these little kids that, your relationship with Jehovah is your personal relationship that you have to build. But yet you have people who watch you and tell you that you're doing it wrong, not doing it right. It's not a personal relationship at all, because people are telling you how to have this relationship. So they're in your business. So it's not very personal. But on top of that, the kids who are getting involved thinking like, oh, I'm doing such a good thing because that's the only way you get praise. You don't get praise as a child, because you don't participate in any sports, you don't do things at school. So for me, it was enjoyable that I had like this one moment where people were like, oh, you're going to get baptized. Like, that's good. You're studying to get baptized. That's great. Like, finally people recognize that I was like trying to do something, even though I was a good kid anyway. And then, after that happened, like nothing changed. My parents didn't give me any more freedom. Like they said they would, so, and then you have all this weight now, which, some kids are 8 years old getting baptized, that God forbid if you do something wrong and get this fellowship, then what? Now your parents can't raise you? Huh?
Yeah.
I
I like what Holisticati said. Like, Jesus was 35 and he was meant to be the role model. It's like, yeah, he's like an actual thinking adult that can understand the ramifications of the world around them. I mean, these kids don't even have any object permanence yet. Like, they're just addicted to TikTok.
Yeah.
Well, and
Go ahead.
Sorry. No, go ahead. I interrupted.
No, I talk too much.
No, you don't. Kristen made a good point. She said, I feel even if you're 25 getting baptized, it's still not informed consent. And I think that's a good point, because there's a lot of things that you don't learn about the organization because the organization won't teach it to you. Go
studying
ahead.
When I was 7.
Patience. It's all good.
Come on, Jehovah.
Mm-hmm.
Please, all of
it's very much on a need-to-know basis. And I tried to get baptized. So we had a Bible study, and it was with somebody else besides like my parents. And so I grew up in special ed, so I could not make sense of these books we were studying. But the way I was learning in special ed was, and such time as needed, and then I would go next level. So when I was having a Bible study with a couple of sisters in the hall, and I couldn't get a certain whatever, they would say, let's just move along and you'll get it later, because I didn't get it. So I would try to do that, but I would come up with these questions that would just irritate the hell out of them. I could not make sense of these doctrines when I studied. And then I studied again at 23, okay? And I still couldn't make sense of it. It just did not compute. And I think what happened was, I think my special ed teacher taught me how to critically think, and I didn't even realize it because I kept coming up with these questions. Okay, so if God's always had an organization, so who was the organization from the time that the disciples died out until Joseph Russell started the org, and I would be told there was a great apostasy. Okay, so if God had an organization, what was from that time to this time? And there was no answer. But y'all said God's always had an organization, so I needed to see that. Like, I needed stuff to be
we thought we were
confirmed to me instead of just on with it. And see, in my head, I was told. In my head, I was told, like, this baptism is a reaction that we have with Jehovah. I didn't know it meant you had to get baptized, and it wasn't for a lack of not trying. So I had no clue what a benefit this was going to be until like 8 years ago. It's like, wow.
So how many people did actually?
But I grew up in it. There was no other option but to be.
Well, I don't know.
What was your question?
Oh, I was just curious how many of you guys actually knew about shunning when you got baptized.
Okay, so,
just out of curiosity.
I think I saw
not
one.
The faintest clue.
I think I saw one person when I was younger. I remember came to the Kingdom Hall and he gave them a letter, and I remember being told, like, because everybody was like silent when dude walked in. It was just like cold in the air, and
Chad walked in.
when Chad walked in, he saw the blood stain. No, he was like, "Talk out of here."
How often
I don't
does
know
this happen?
what kind of demons was this going on. Well, it's happening right now. I mean, did you need to know? No, I'm just joking. I'm sorry. Oh God, I'm sorry. What's wrong with me? No blood transfusions. No blood transfusions here. What the hell was I saying? What was I saying?
The question was on shunning.
Oh, the dude. So the dude walked in, handed a letter, and then like after the meeting, like through all the hubbub, found out like he was an apostate and he was trying to tell people like I guess what had happened to him, but you know, of course, he was the bad guy and da 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 da. But yeah, that was just like, oh, don't talk to him, don't. So that was my only experience, and I thought, okay, well, he was a bad person. I'm never going to be like that. So.
Yeah, I kind of had a similar experience where I really thought, oh, well, because to me, I was like, well, Jehovah's going to save me from my bad situation, and there is nothing else. Because I didn't know CPS existed. I didn't know, I mean, you know, with neglect, you don't know anyone else. And so I was like, it's just me and Jehovah. That's all I've got. And so there's no way I'm ever leaving him. And then
individual, this invisible being.
Yeah, and then it definitely it's switched around a bit, and I realized Jehovah didn't help me in that situation, considering I stayed in that situation till I moved out. So, you know,
I was traumatized with the shunning. I remember I was 10 years old. I was in this congregation. It seemed like somebody was getting disfellowshipped every week. I had never heard of the judicial process. I didn't understand what it was, but I remembered.
I didn't know what it was either.
Friday, we had our theocratic service. We had a theocratic school and service meeting on Friday nights, and I remember sitting there when the announcement time was coming up, and I kept on thinking, "Are they gonna call my name next?" Because I didn't know how they did. I didn't know how this worked. I was like, "Oh my God, they're gonna call me. They're gonna call my name. They're gonna call my name." That's just how many people were getting disfellowshipped.
Damn.
Jeez.
And I thought they were pulling names out of a hat. And I was
Next, starting the beginning of Price is Right.
So
Come on down.
Come on down.
When I got baptized, when I was going to get baptized, my sister said, she says, do not get baptized. She said, because if you do something wrong, she said, everybody in the family is going to have to shun you. You know, so.
Did you get disfellowshipped? Did you get shunned? Nope. Never? Has anybody else got? I've been shunned.
No, I sent in a letter.
Oh, that's right. You just sent in your letter. You were
put on public. I had a boyfriend.
Oh, okay.
I did do it publicly. I posted to Facebook. So I sent in my letter, and then I posted to Facebook, and I started with 400 friends. Let's see where we're at now. 343.
Chat. Everyone say
hello.
Oh
shit! You lost
That's
friends.
the student.
Well, because I posted
disassociated like 2 days ago. So
yeah, so
I show some support.
Maybe some of them are PMO.
I'll read.
I will make sure I follow you. Don't worry, I will follow you.
About 15 PMOs reached out to me, and I woke up 4 people at this point in time. That was since when did I post this? I posted this on the 4th. That was Monday. So I posted too many of my friends and family, and this is why I posted it. No one I know goes to my hall. Too many of my friends and family do not go to my congregation, so I'm announcing it here as well. I cannot call all of you individually, unfortunately. I am disassociating myself as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. I have no ill will towards the brothers and sisters, but I can't support an organization that lies to its members and uses fear tactics to cover up child sex abuse. I first felt guilty and anxious when I read Mariah Hughes' story detailing a cover-up of a ministerial servant grooming young girls from different congregations. When these girls came forward, nothing was done and he continued to serve. If Mariah hadn't gone to the authorities years later, this would have continued even though the elders knew. By the way, that man is in jail now for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
For years, I was too scared to look at the transcripts of the Australian Royal Commission, detailing widespread cover-up and protection of abusers within that organization. But I'm not going to pull the wool over my own eyes any longer. This is extremely painful for me, as I know I will be cut off from my loved ones, who will proceed to keep telling me I'm choosing to be shunned. However, I can live with the consequences if it means standing up for what is right. No more lies. And then I linked, instead of something apostate, I linked temporary residence in this world by knowing better, who's not a witness, never has been a witness, and he did an expose on, like a video essay, an hour-long video essay on Jehovah's Witnesses, and that's actually partially what woke me up, was watching that, because his breakdown of the math behind 1914, which I had never done before, because I never studied, is partially based off of pyramidology.
Yes,
And
they
I
are
didn't
heavy
know
into.
that.
They were
Yes.
yes, Russell.
Yeah.
And,
So I posted this video, and I guess quite a few people watched it because I'm still having people reach out to me. So
Well, you're
That's
doing a good job,
amazing.
Dax.
I know. I'm
love
so
that
proud
letter.
of you.
That's very, very good that you did. And I think that this is the reason why the Watchtower Society doesn't want people being on these social media outlets. Yep. That was the way to wake people up.
yeah, because if you have my spouse and I used to travel a lot, so if you have hundreds of friends on your social media, it's a really, really good way
and
to.
I can tell you've educated yourself.
Yeah.
Very well.
And I've posted a few things from the Australian Royal Commission, added all the documents and everything, and I'm just going to keep doing that until all of my witness friends unfriend me.
I love it.
Dax,
Like, that's just.
Dax,
I'm just
where's
going
your mother at now? Where's your mother at? Where's your mother at, Dax?
She's across the country from me. She's a witness. She hates me.
And that's all we'll be saying about
Does she shun you?
Yeah,
But
she
she
did.
shun you?
Right. She actually is the reason I got outed.
Oh,
So I told her I was having some doubts, which was true. And she accused me, after she reassured me, she said, oh, it's okay, you can tell me your doubts, it's fine. And I said, no, I don't want to, you're going to accuse me of apostasy for thinking this way. And she said, no, I'm not, I promise. And she called my elders, she called all of my family, she called some of my friends, and she did this all, like, she went nuclear within a day. And then she got mad that I called my dad crying, saying everyone's going to shun me, because my dad's not a witness. And she got mad at me.
Just in case anyone missed that, she got mad at you for
For
crying that you were
to
about
my
to have
dad
an
that-
abomination. Your life's about to implode, and you're sad
Can I
about
have
it.
your
She's
mom's
yelling.
dress?
She goes, why would you call your father? Did you want to get me in trouble? And I was like, why? Did you do something wrong?
Yes.
Do you feel like you did something wrong? Because maybe you should reflect on that.
And my friend
Thank you so
Jason.
much, Guatin YouTube.
Aw.
I don't know
Wow.
what currency that is.
This
but
is
thank you,
so all
thank
about
you.
her, isn't it?
Very much appreciate it.
Yeah.
And yes, the streams will be more regular. I just missed last Wednesday because I had some travel issues, and so I wasn't able to make it back in time. But yes, every Wednesday will be the stream.
My friend had made an excellent point on my show the other day, and he said that, or no, it wasn't on there. It was on a TikTok. He made a TikTok. Sorry, his name is Jason. You should follow him. Fogbreaker Studios, and he said that they're not your parents; they're Jehovah's Witnesses. And it actually kind of made me cry a little bit, but because I didn't think of it that way, but it registered. What kind of parent? Okay, so say your child stole a pack of gum. What kind of parent would take you to the police and ask them to lock you up? Right?
yeah.
But that's literally like what her mom did, like wanted her to be punished, wanted to out her. That's what my parents did to me when I got in trouble. It was because they told the elders on me. I didn't do it. I didn't want to do it. They made me do it. So they are protecting the organization. They are Jehovah's Witnesses first. And children, and children aren't really seen or heard anyway, unless they want something from you, like preaching or, going door to door, stuff like that. Teaching kids to read so that way they can become publishers is the new thing that I heard Morris say. But yeah, isn't that kind of sickening? That really hurt my feelings.
Yeah, that's
It's true.
Yeah. Were you underage when that happened?
Yeah, I was 15, 16 years old when I had to talk to the elders. And like I said, when you were talking, I had no idea what a judicial committee was, like what would happen. I didn't realize that I was going to be in a room with these dudes, like 4 dudes, asking me about my private parts and another person's private. I had no, it was, your body, how your soul leaves your body. That is exactly how that was.
I don't know if it was the luck of the draw or not, but I found that wherever we went, we always ended up with these elders that didn't make a big deal out of stuff. My sister was a teenage pregnancy. She was not baptized, and the elders, she never ever told me anything about her judicial case. And she had a judicial case because she was a unbaptized publisher.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the situation. This is the only thing she told me about her meeting. The brothers had my mom and my sister in the back room, and the brothers were, I guess they were beginning to question my sister, whatever. And something came up, and they said, well, are you even interested in being a Jehovah's Witness? And my sister said, no. And she said, I don't want to be a witness. I never have wanted to be a witness. And so they let her walk.
Damn.
She walked out the meeting. She didn't get no judicial nothing, and that was it.
Damn.
I mean,
So I was like, how did we get so lucky? I mean, my
I
family.
wish.
Hey, thank you so much for the $20. That means a lot. As It's Me said, I was lucky.
We're
I can't
saying
imagine
she
what
wasn't
Judicial parent
baptized.
Ever
She
Right?
wasn't
You're
baptized.
treated me poorly, let alone shunning me. Dad was an elder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Linda.
It's
Yeah,
kinda crazy.
Apostababe,
sorry.
she was not baptized. But during that time, you got disassociated.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
what I mean? Huh?
Yes, and I was 15. No, when I was 16. So when I was 16, I had a boyfriend from school, and the only way to keep a boyfriend is to bring him all and let them start a Bible study. So that's what I did. Okay. So about 11 months, another friend was murdered by a serial killer, and then I was kind of in this lost mindset. And then, anyways, I was just not thinking. I was just kind of. Anyways, it was a very tough time in my life. And I decided, it was time for us to be intimate, right? By the way, I didn't lose my virginity. I knew right where it was at. I made the choice at 16.
I don't know where mine is.
As much as I decided to, right? So I decided, you're right, it's lost forever. So I decided, let's, this, and it got found out. Okay, it got found out. So next thing you know, I'm put on public reproof, and the org wants to break us up. To this day, that pisses me off. To this day, how dare they? How dare they? Like, I know that the relationship would have ended eventually on our own terms, but the org broke us up, and I wasn't allowed to see him anymore. And I was having like a mini breakdown because of all the stuff going on. Then I went, who thank you, somebody to talk to, and I started opening up with everything that I'm going through. And then he tells, well, I'm an elder, so I'm now going to have to call headquarters on you. And I was like, holy fuck, this is not happening. It was the worst year of my life, being 16 years old. So then I'm put on public reproof. So in my head, not knowing how the judicial system even worked, I didn't know that at that time that you have to be baptized to get disfellowshipped. To me, it was like, I'm getting disciplined. I'm supposed to be getting disciplined. Back when they would say, so you've been put on public proof for behavior unbecoming of a Christian, It was this horrible public humiliation.
Well,
and what I didn't realize until about 5 or 6 years ago is that my mother was asking me questions and then going to the elders to give them the answer. And I was not informed that there was this back and forth thing going on. It was just so deceptive. So after that,
speaking of back and forth
when it came to my prom in my senior year, but nobody think the whole thing. Nobody knew I went to my prom, had my dress made, everything. Got home in time. I didn't tell nobody a damn thing because that's what got me in trouble, being honest, in this world.
Yeah.
So
you gotta work the system a little bit.
What's ironic to me is in the ARC transcript, Jeffrey Jackson says, "Oh well, he's all incredulous. Oh, it's not like we have Jehovah's Witness police force going and enforcing people who want to leave and all their actions."
Lie.
And then, meanwhile, you have his elder saying, "Oh, I'm going to call the branch or the headquarters on you." Like,
exactly.
Okay, sure, we could just lie.
Right. No, because the thing is that frustrates me is they turn everybody into a rat. Like, you're blood guilty. Like, they slap that blood guilty term on there, and now Ryan, if your friend is smoking, you don't turn your friend in, you're blood guilty.
Yep.
So you are sinning just as much as your friend in Jehovah's eyes. So they turn you into rats, and you grass out all your friends. Well, I didn't, but I've seen it happen.
But people do it.
Yeah, they do. I mean, your parents turning you in. Yes, some dude you just met, an elder is going to turn you in. But I mean, it's just disgusting that he's even having these conversations with a 16-year-old, and it's frustrating to me. They're trying to start getting 20-year-olds to become elders now. And could you imagine a 16-year-old girl answering questions to a 20-year-old elder who has no skills, no life skills, no social skills, and definitely not the mental health capacity to be discussing this kind of stuff? It's perverted. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go on a tangent then.
No,
it was a good tangent.
I think it's really
Keep
powerful.
that a book.
Pardon?
The book.
Write a book.
And let's talk about what blood guilt really means is during Armageddon, their blood will literally be on your hands if you
boom, boom, boom.
not tell what kind of, it's very hard to have the mindset of what is reality and what is not.
Yep.
In the order.
Matt, you were an elder too, right?
Oh, who? The falling tower was an elder?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Well, no, I'm pretty sure we did it.
Oh, lie. Yeah, oh my God, they snitch on each other so freaking often. Oh my gosh.
It's so crazy that, like, in what context would they ever tell you that? It doesn't make
of course
any sense.
of course they're not going to admit it, but I mean, the thing is they have these conversations from the pulpit from one dude. One dude's given his opinion, and somehow he's just knowledgeable because God's given him knowledge, and people believe it. People believe that these dudes are being talked to by God.
Accurate knowledge.
Yeah, and I spoke to a girlfriend who she used to be a JW, and I had said something to her about, well, like, they think God talks to them, right? And she was like, no, they don't. And I was like, what do you think they mean when they say, like, Jehovah's Spirit, like, comes down and gives them information? Like, they believe, like, some shit. I mean, they don't believe it. It's not real, but this is what they tell people. Because, and even at I'm sure, I don't know about y'all, but I was told that Jehovah's Spirit would tell the brothers whether or not I would be disfellowshipped or not. They were going to go pray.
Yep.
And then they were going to, after that prayer, God would, like, give them the decision.
Assist, whatever decision they ultimately make through politics is definitely guided by God.
Yes. And my girlfriend was like, I didn't know, like, she didn't understand it either. And I was like, I used to believe it. I thought Jehovah disfellowshipped me. I thought God hated me. This wasn't coming from dudes. Like, Jehovah himself was saying, bitch, you ain't shit. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's how it gets translated, though, for sure.
Yeah, and that's
that's
even more fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, if it was just the dudes that didn't like me, that'd be fine. But knowing that it was Jehovah didn't like me, fucking hell.
Yeah, the sad thing about this whole thing is it's a mixed bag.
Oh, it's everything.
Some people believe that some of these elders actually believe that they are God's chosen ones, and then I've heard some boom doomers about some of these elders. And I remember the circuit overseer. No, he was the district overseer at the time, and he gave a talk at the circuit assembly, and he talked about how there was this elder that served on the body, and he was out having an extramarital affair and all this stuff he was doing that was just wrong. And he was sitting on judicial cases, just fellowshipping people who did less things than he did. And he said that he felt empty. He was just going through the motions, but he was doing everything he was big enough to do. And he showed no mercy for these other people that he was disfellowshipping, tearing up their families,
right?
Making people not be able to talk to somebody. It was just a hot mess.
A real Paul. Saul?
Yep. A real Paul. Saul of Tarsus.
Right.
And not that there's anything wrong with, washing windows or picking up
And
gum.
I remember the elders telling me that.
Sorry?
Elders telling me that Jehovah could not hear my prayers when I was in that state of being put on public reproof,
Yeah.
And I knew that if Armageddon hit, I would not survive. And it was just bad, really, really bad.
Yeah,
I did not know that, again, I didn't know the politics. And there was this one gal that was a teenager that was disfellowshipped as I was growing up, and I would always say hi to her at the back of the hall. And then there was this other dude that was kind of like a Billy Jack wannabe and he would partake every year. And the elders would literally take him by his polyester suit, throw him out the side door. Like I would see that.
Wow.
I'd see the door open and throw him out if he partook during the memorial. Oh my God. Growing up, it was traumatic being a Jehovah's Witness, okay?
Yeah, because they definitely know who the anointed are. You know, God tells them who has been ordained as anointed. So clearly they can determine whether or not they think someone's anointed, whether or not they are. So it's all fine.
What do you guys think about how women can be anointed? I did forget about that. Was one of the things I wanted to ask you guys about.
Do we turn to men when we go to heaven?
So I just interviewed an ex-Jehovah's Witness who was anointed, who was also a woman, is also a woman.
I want to watch. I need this video to work.
I'm posting that today. It's getting there. I am posting it.
It's starting to. It's starting to
render.
Yeah. So
meme,
and we talk about that. Like, what are some of the differences in being an anointed sister versus an anointed brother? Well, she had a particularly awkward experience because there were 3 anointed people in the hall. So some of them like kind of treated them like apostates, like they were all fake, false prophets type of ordeal. And she said she almost got treated worse when she was anointed. So yeah, I can't really speak on behalf of her. She speaks for herself in the interview, but some of what she said was partially because my memory's bad, and if I misquote myself and then I post the video, it's gonna look real bad. But
that's
some of the stuff
display the art of silence. No, I'm kidding.
Definitely different than anointed brothers. Probably a little bit more skepticism to endure.
And doesn't it, like, I'm trying to find it now, but anyway, someone in chat will find it for me, actually. Why am I doing work? There's an army of people out there. But doesn't it literally say, like, they'll, like, turn into men? And doesn't it say that they couldn't have polluted themselves with women? Because, if you are with a woman, you're immediately polluted, apparently.
Spirit creatures, which are allegedly non-gendered. But there is a scripture that talks about 2 angels that came down.
The 144,000 are virgins.
But they always draw them as men. They don't.
Yeah, well, that's what I was about to say.
If you go to heaven, you become a white angel. That's
a white man with a beard.
Yeah, that's it. That's all.
We've cracked the code to the universe.
There's no other kinds of angels there.
Yeah, but it was interesting what you said, Dax, about how they treated that sister, and that's an interesting comment that she had said about how they treated her. And I remember when we were still going to the meetings, they were talking about people who were becoming of the anointed and saying that they were that they had some mental illness or something.
Yeah.
And that was really scary for her upon
and
go ahead.
Well,
this was also something that Lauren Stewart, one that a few years back in Michigan took her family out, she felt she was part of the anointed and treated very badly because of it. I do a show on 6 screens called Healing After the Watchtower, and Rick has always talked about how he was anointed, but he became anointed after his previous wife said that she was anointed. So I always tease him that there was no way you were going to let your wife go to heaven and rule over you, so you had to get anointed, didn't you? He just laughs. But yeah.
Man.
The anointed is a very interesting, to think that there's only going to be some that get swept up to heaven. It's just funny. And now that, like, who it was Sam Hurd said that we don't know when the end is coming. We could be gone by then. I was like,
that was hilarious.
I was like, shit, poor tight pants Tony isn't going to be able to watch people turn into hot dogs. Poor guy.
Well, he'll be turning them into hot dogs though, so he'll get exactly what he wants.
Just from heaven.
Yeah, he goes from smelling and eating the hot dogs to making them.
Exactly.
And going back,
he looks like a bloated.
Going back to Hurd and that whole thing he was talking about, women having 10% less brain mass, and that's why women are not in a position to lead in the congregation. Mm-hmm. He goes on to talk about, women get together and start talking and acting and saying things, oh, if I was a man, I could do this, and if I was a man, I could do that. And then he goes, you know what that borders on? That borders on homosexuality. Oh, and it drives me nuts because it doesn't border on
Hold on, guys. I'll be right
sexuality.
back.
It borders transgenderism.
A dog is barking out of control. I gotta go figure out the situation. I'll be right back.
Go ahead.
You're good.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Sure.
Apostate, babe.
Sure. So it's like if a woman wants to be a man, that would be you're transitioning from male to, male to male, right? So and as a lesbian, I just get so irritated when the governing body has no clue about anything of the LGBT community, none whatsoever. Really and if you ever notice, when they do depict homosexuals, they depict them usually with their heads turned, so you don't get to see their face.
They also I was going to say they also often depict them as pedophiles.
Oh yeah, they say that all the time.
That's a huge thing too.
Yeah. There was an article I read that they posted that something about the gays ruined.
So amazing because most homosexuals, it's very rare for homosexuals. Like, it's rare for somebody to be a pedophile because they're homosexual. That's this thing of a child. This is about power and control. It has nothing to do with affection or lovemaking. It's inappropriate. So when I hear ignorance, it's also associated with like bestiality, and it's like, I've never met anybody in the community that wants to have sex with children, nor their animals. It just doesn't. No.
But they use those stories in the Bible of like Sodom and Gomorrah, and they twist them because Sodom and Gomorrah had nothing to do with homosexuality. But they use those, like the story is basically about like xenophobia and not treating people bad. It has nothing to do with people like assaulting people simply because they're men. No, these dudes probably all had wives. They assaulted every and anybody who came to that city. That was the reason that supposedly God wanted to destroy it, because you're not supposed to be xenophobic. You're supposed to be welcoming, because just like when
they were inhospitable.
Yes, because when the Israelites were sojourning through the desert and the Moabites weren't pleasant, and like, no, you're supposed to welcome people in. That's a problem. So they take this story where people get, two girls get raped by their father. That's like the real like horror of the story. Like one sin caused all these multitude of other like nasty situations and sins. And now the issue is homosexuality. That's what God hates. No, bitch, you missed the whole story. You missed the whole, they were beating people up, stealing their stuff, and killing them.
The craziest part about that story to me is
and Lot had the angels.
That's my channel. I get to talk.
And
I'm just kidding. We'll get right back. But I'm working on doing a video because I find similar stories in the Bible to be really fascinating. Like same story told different ways, or same events that like mirror each other, told in a different way, especially when it comes like the difference between a man and a woman. So like when Abraham goes to sacrifice his son, he, the angel swoops down and stops him. And yet when whatever his face was in, God, I can't even think of it, who sacrifices his daughter to win the battle.
Oh, Jephthah?
Jephthah, yeah, thank you.
Jephthah's promise.
Yeah, but then when Jephthah, it says, no, he did just as he promised. And yeah, there's a lot of apologetic shenanigans that they try and use to get out of it.
Dead.
But now a similar thing that happens with Sodom and Gomorrah is later on in Judges, I think like 17 or 18, you have a retelling of the story where they're using women and they just throw them out on the front porch. You're like, oh, well, at least I'm not going to get hurt here. Have her. And so, and there's none of the divine intervention. And I find it just like so objectively misogynistic to have those in the Bible. Anyway, not to spoil.
That's the story where they chop her up.
Yeah. And then they send her to each little part. And
and it's like, you did get it. You missed the point of the story.
Yes. Yeah. And that's what it is. It's a story. So as soon as you start taking things literally,
Yeah.
it's like, wait, you're gonna take literal these actual misogynistic pieces of garbage?
Right. Lots of good dude. Yeah. Eat my
Shorts.
Sorry.
You know,
Eat my shorts,
Lot
Bart
had
Simpson.
2 angels at his house, and the whole town showed up with the. So that was men showing up with their why this event on.
What's that?
Okay, raping them. That's so. Being that women are property, Lot took the daughters and said, "Here, take the daughters instead." To protect these angels. But this was not about a committed homosexual at all. It was about inhospitable. I can't say it now. And basically overpowering and raping these men. Power and control.
Yeah, power and control, exactly. Has nothing to do about, but they take things too far. It's homies at bestiality, homies at, that all comes under the same umbrella. No, it fucking don't. No, it doesn't. It just simply does not. And they think
there was these other
comes from the Bible.
Pardon?
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me?
Which one? Who?
Hello?
There was
Hey.
temple worship.
Technical difficulties.
You have the floor. Here we go.
There would be.
I'm shutting up. I'm getting more water. Yes, I drink a lot of water, okay? I get it. But when you're talking a lot, you got to drink water. Stay hydrated. Cool. Anyway, what were we saying?
So what I was saying was temple worship and some of the temple during Sodom, women dressing as and men dressing as women, but it was basically the worship of false gods, and it was during the season of like procreation, or like that Easter time or whatever, where it was for the purpose of having intercourse to get pregnant. So basically it was orgy situation, but that was that town is all I'm saying. That's all.
Yeah. Nothing to do with,
Well, how
long?
long? What's everyone's bandwidth feeling like? How much longer do you feel like going? I am probably just going to hang out for a couple more hours, even maybe watch some of the broadcast or anything. So I don't know if
I'm fine.
I just lost all my friends. I have no plans.
Oh my god!
It's not sad. It's fine.
You know what? It's a good thing.
I'm so proud of you.
They're not friends.
No, they aren't.
I'm gonna be here probably till 8 o'clock, Wally.
Okay.
You got 10
minutes. I've been up since 5 o'clock.
That is, you're like an actual hero. Well, maybe before you bounce, we'll give you the floor, and you can give us any final thoughts about sexism and misogyny in the Watchtower, and then you can plug. Everyone knows who you are, so they don't know who I am.
I don't know what else to say. They just a bunch of assholes, I guess.
Yes.
That pretty much sums it up pretty good.
I mean, it's just
DC, I want to be you.
I'm just mad. Let me just say this to y'all. I'm just so mad at the fact that when I was growing up, I couldn't stay awake. And maybe if I could have stayed awake at some of those meetings, I would have been listening to what y'all was listening to.
Yeah.
Because I would go to the meeting and at 8 o'clock, I was knocked out.
Okay.
And my mother would let me just
Oh, so
sleep.
you didn't get as badly indoctrinated.
I mean, I got indoctrinated later, but I'm talking about when I was a kid. Because when you're a kid, you don't have responsibilities.
Yeah, you're
but
mad
your mind can run, and you can be thinking about all the crazy stuff, But I don't know what it was. I was knocked out. But we were at the meetings on Sundays and stuff like that. I didn't sleep during Sunday meetings, but when all that indoctrination was going on I think that most of the indoctrination went on at the Theocratic School and Service meeting.
Yeah.
And I think that it went on through those kingdom ministries.
You're right.
Because
they teach you how to be a robot, a zombie.
Yeah, exactly. Those were the publications that you could not share with the public. And so that's where they would really beat people and tell you about your role in this, religion as a woman. Now, I mean, I talk to so many people, and they tell me so many stories. And one of the stories I just recently heard was this one sister said that in her congregation, once you got married, they expected you to quit your job.
Oh,
And so she said that
that
when she got married, she quit her job. And the sad thing about it was her husband left her for somebody else. And she had like 4 children. So I was like, well, what the heck? How you gonna tell me to stop working my job and then pump me full of all these babies and now you gone? And that's what I tell women. I always tell women, I always tell them, make sure you take care of yourself.
Sorry.
Because you don't want to be dependent on a man, because he may not always be there.
Yeah.
That's good that you had that sort of crust already baked into you, even from an early age, just so you had the wherewithal to kind of deal with that, I suppose, in just a slightly better way. So it's not just completely debilitating. And anyway, but what would I know?
You know a lot.
I mean, we all,
trust me.
but we all got out. I mean, I just thought that, I had been indoctrinated to believe. Okay, so it's one thing to be indoctrinated to believe something, and also for it to make sense, right?
Yes.
So if the witnesses said this is the truth, and they scared you away from any other faith, and they locked our minds down so tight that for somebody that's just coming through, you just believe. Okay, this is just, I gotta just believe it because this is what they said. And I think that's how I got caught up in it. But I always thought the people were crazy.
Always.
I did. I just thought that it was just, and especially my last congregation, I just thought the people were just weird.
They are. They're not wrong.
It just didn't make any sense. And just the relationships that we had with people, the way they looked at things, it just made no sense.
Yeah.
Well, they were assholes. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Well, everyone in chat, say hi and bye to Lady Cee.
All right, y'all.
I'm sure everybody knows where to find you, right?
You can't
I'll
leave.
see y'all later. I'm going to be working on videos tomorrow.
Okay.
And I've got another YouTube channel that I'm working on as well.
Okay,
Woo!
and then
But it's not Jehovah's Witness related. I'm trying to get myself together. I can't eat, sleep, and drink this stuff every day.
it does take a lot out of you. For sure. And then you mentioned something about potentially doing like a charity thing. Is that in the works yet, or still theory crafting?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, charity for what?
Oh, okay. Maybe that was a different person. Never mind. I'll talk to you later. Bye forever.
I can do charity. What are we trying to raise money for?
I don't know. I thought you had texted me about it, but maybe I'm crazy. Anyway, it's okay. I'll talk to you later.
Oh no, that was you. You said you were doing charity.
No, I'm trying to eat food.
You must have been responding to somebody else's text.
Maybe I did do that. I am a bad texter, and yeah, it's
a good thing. It was a good thing you were talking about charity.
Not something else.
Not something else.
Yeah, it would be like.
It's been real.
Thank you so much. Anytime you want to come back.
Ladies later, because I want to have y'all on my platform.
I'd love to.
Okay. Have a good evening. It's 8 o'clock. It's my bedtime.
Okay. Well, you gotta.
Thank you so
much. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.